So saving your images is very, very important in Photoshop, and I suggest saving your images often, just because you never know when the application might crash on you. So you don't want to spend 90 minutes in class working on one image and then all of a sudden something goes wrong and you've lost everything you've been working on. So when you're saving your images, once you start having layers and layers and layers, your image will no longer be that JPEG that it started off with. It's going to be a Photoshop file. So if I go ahead and click Save, it's going to want me to save as. And you can see that the end of it is PSD. So that's our Photoshop file. So for now, kind of leave it at that, click OK. So now whenever I do any editing, I can click Save, and then it'll save it. Save often. Save maybe every 5 to 10 minutes. Anytime you do something prominent in your image, save it, save it, save it. Okay. So with the Photoshop files, let's say you've been working on an image and class is just about to be over. You cannot just leave it on your computer. What you'll have to do is upload it into Google Drive. You'll later be able to go back and reopen your image just by downloading it. So my color balance, my Photoshop file, I'm just going to click and drag it into Google Drive. It's going to go and upload it, and then it's there. So when I want to go back and work on it, I can just re-download the basic Photoshop file and then continue working from there. All of my layers will still be there. Everything will be as I had left it. But once you're done working with an image, it's completely how you want it. It's beautiful, it's perfect, it's amazing. You will have to save it a specific way for turning it in. So the Photoshop files, as you can see, based on the file size, are huge. Okay, just because you're working with a lot of layers. So when you have your image done, you'll want to save it back into a JPEG. So that will compress and it'll be a much smaller size. So to do that, you're going to have to do a couple of things. The first one is you're going to have to flatten your layers. So all of these layers that you've been working on, you need to be able to squash them down so it just is back to one. So to do that, at the very top of your screen, you'll click on Layer. Then you'll have to scroll all the way to the bottom and you'll find Flatten Image. You'll click that and you'll see that all of those layers got squashed down and you're left with just background. And that's what you want. From here, you'll go File, Save As. When you're saving your files, you're going to save it as your name and the project. So that way we know what it is. If it's the same project, you can have name project 1, project 2, project 3, so on and so forth. If you look at the extension of it, it's still a Photoshop file. So that we need to change. So to change that, we have something called Format. Right now the format is Photoshop. If you click on it, you'll see all these other options pop up. So you'll want to change it back to JPEG. And you'll notice that up top, your extension reverted back to your JPEG. So once all that looks good, you'll hit Save. Your JPEG options will open up. Typically you want to leave it at quality 12, which is the maximum. So it gives you a larger file, but it still holds a lot of information. And then you'll click OK, and then it's saved. So then from there, you'll be able to upload your new file into Photoshop. And you can see between the original Photoshop file and the JPEG, there is a huge size difference. The JPEGs are what you will be turning into me. So what I suggest doing is under each of your projects, have a folder for your final images. So that way you can kind of store them all together in one folder, and then later you can share that folder with me. That is how I will be able to grade all of your amazing images.